Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Need to see identification and proof of legal status.
I'm a licensed attorney. Texas bar, my identification.
Everyone says there's something. Got documentation proving citizenship right now?
My driver's license is in my wallet.
15 years practicing law?
All the state bar of Texas.
That body cam was recording. Officer Marcus Webb had no idea what he'd just started. The woman he dismissed as everyone says there's something wasn't just an attorney. She was a Fourth Amendment expert who'd won 31 out of 34 police misconduct cases. And in exactly 11 minutes, Webb would make the career-ending decision. 8 years in federal prison, $12.3 million in damages. A precedent that would reshape Atlanta PD forever. All because he refused to verify a bar card. Before we continue, stories like this need to be told. If this is your first time here, hit subscribe. Drop a comment where you're watching from. The Fresh Mart parking lot on Peachtree Street was ordinary that Saturday morning. 11:20 a.m. Dr. Rochelle Davis loaded groceries into her trunk, still wearing the Emory Law sweatshirt from her morning jog. On the passenger seat sat 3 casebooks she'd been reviewing for her 2:00 p.m. seminar. All 3 covered illegal detention. The irony would hit later. She was preparing to teach students how to recognize Fourth Amendment violations when officers illegally detained citizens without reasonable suspicion. In 23 minutes, she'd become her own case study. 2 Atlanta PD patrol cars pulled into the lot. Officers Marcus Webb and David Briggs stepped out moving in tactical formation. Wide spacing, hands near belts. The approach of men who'd already decided something. Dr. Davis saw them coming as she closed the trunk. Webb's voice carried across the asphalt. Atlanta Police Department. Need to see identification. She kept her movements slow visible. My Georgia bar card is in my wallet in the vehicle. Everyone says there's something. Mari Webb's tone, flat bureaucratic. Got documentation on you right now. Dr. Davis reached carefully for her purse. She pulled out her bar card. License number 48291. 19 years active. Also her Emory Law faculty ID. Business cards. 3 forms of verification. Webb barely glanced at them. Anyone can print these. He didn't radio dispatch. Didn't verify. Didn't make a single call. Just dismissed credentials with 6 words. The Fresh Mart manager stepped outside. Michael Chen had worked there 14 years. He'd seen Dr. Davis shopping every Saturday for the past 9. He stood 15 feet away, phone already recording. 4 security cameras covered the parking lot. Different angles. High definition. Time-stamped. Webb's body camera blinked red. Recording. The silent courtroom was building. Evidence stacking from every direction, and Webb had no idea. Dr. Davis kept her voice level, attorney precise. Officer under Terry versus Ohio, you need reasonable suspicion to demand identification. I'm complying, but I'm stating for the record, there's no articulable suspicion here. I'm Dr. Rochelle Davis, Georgia State Bar, 19 years specializing in Fourth Amendment violations. She cited case law in real time. Word perfect, like she was teaching a seminar. Which in a sense she was. Webb's jaw tightened. I don't need a reason. Officer safety. Briggs moved to this passenger side of her vehicle, peering through the windows. Ma'am, step away from the vehicle. Dr. Davis stepped back, hands where they could see them. Slow, deliberate movements. 15 years of practice had taught her that sudden reactions around armed officers ended badly. Across the parking lot, an elderly couple noticed the confrontation. Robert and Linda Morrison, married 47 years, Saturday grocery ritual disrupted. Linda pulled out her phone. Robert, that doesn't look right. She dialed 911. There are officers harassing a woman in the Fresh Mart parking lot on Peachtree. She's just loading groceries. This seems wrong. The call logged at 11:23 a.m. Independent verification from civilians. Near the store entrance, a young woman froze mid-step. Sarah Chen, third-year law student. She'd taken Dr. Davis's constitutional law seminar 2 semesters ago. The professor who'd taught her about unlawful stops was being unlawfully stopped. Sarah started recording on her phone, hands shaking. She couldn't believe what she was witnessing. Webb radio dispatch, his voice carrying authority he assumed justified everything. Dispatch, this is badge 7214, running verification on suspicious individual. Fresh Mart, Peachtree, and 5th. The dispatcher's response crackled back. Copy 7214. What's the suspicion basis? Webb hesitated. Just a second, but the body camera caught it. Visual assessment. Two words that meant nothing. No articulated facts, no specific behavior, no legal justification, just visual assessment. Dispatch went quiet, processing the non-answer. The radio conversation would later be transcribed, timestamped entered as Exhibit 14B, procedural failure documented in real time. So, Dr. Davis stood by her vehicle cataloging everything. Her mind worked like she was already building the case. Timestamp 11:23 a.m. badge number 7214, second officer name tag, Briggs badge number visible 8192, no Miranda warnings, no reasonable suspicion articulated, no probable cause. 4 witnesses confirmed manager Chen, elderly couple Morrison, former student Sarah. 4 security cameras recording, 2 body cameras active, multiple angles of the same constitutional violation. She was already 3 steps ahead. While Webb was executing an unlawful stop, Dr. Davis was constructing the framework that would dismantle his career. Every second he delayed verification, every dismissive word, every procedural shortcut, she logged it all. Mental notes precise as a legal brief. This wasn't panic, this was preparation. 15 years of facing hostile prosecutors and prejudiced judges had sharpened her into exactly this. A mind that turned violation into evidence, humiliation into ammunition. Webb still hadn't called in her bar number, still hadn't verified a single credential, still believed his badge outweighed her documentation. 11 minutes had passed since the initial contact. Not one of them spent on basic verification procedure, the kind that takes 90 seconds. Dr. Davis stood silent, composed, while the evidence accumulated around her like a fortress she didn't even have to build. The cameras were doing it for her. Webb's voice cut through the parking lot noise. Turn around, hands behind your back. The handcuffs clicked shut at 11:27 a.m., cold metal against skin. Dr. Davis kept her voice steady, attorney-trained Mayward deliberate for the cameras. This is unlawful detention without probable cause. I'm not resisting. Officer, you are violating my Fourth Amendment rights. I'm requesting you state the articulable reasonable suspicion that justifies this seizure. She cited constitutional law while handcuffed for violating no law. The irony was complete. A Fourth Amendment expert arrested without Fourth Amendment compliance, reciting the very protections being shredded in real time. Webb walked her across the crowded parking lot, Briggs holding her other arm. 47 people in the Fresh Mart lot that morning. At least 20 had phones out now. Sarah Chen, the former student, was crying while filming. Her hands shook, but she kept recording. The professor who'd taught her that officers need reasonable suspicion was being seized without any. Near the entrance, another attorney stepped out of her vehicle. Melissa Torres, civil rights lawyer, Georgia Bar, 12 years. She'd co-authored 2 amicus briefs with Dr. Davis. Torres stood frozen, watching her colleague walked in handcuffs past families loading groceries into minivans. The humiliation was public, witnessed, documented. Down. They loaded Dr. Davis into the back of Webb's patrol car. The door slammed. Through the metal grate separating front and back seats, she could hear everything. Webb and Briggs spoke in low tones, casual, like she wasn't 3 feet behind them. That's 4 this month from this zone. Briggs grunted acknowledgement. Should put us close to quota. Captain wants the numbers up before quarterly review. Webb. They're really pushing the high-profile areas, easy stops. Doctor. Davis sat motionless, wrists aching from the cuffs, mind sharpening to a razor's edge. Quota, performance metrics, high-profile areas. They were saying it out loud, admitting systemic targeting, casual as discussing lunch, oblivious to the attorneys sitting behind them cataloging every syllable. She memorized every word. There. The radio crackled. Dispatch finally running the verification Webb should have done 16 minutes earlier. Badge 7214 verification complete on Rochelle Davis. Georgia State Bar confirms active member, 19 years license, 48291. Civil rights attorney, faculty at Emory University School of Law. Silence in the patrol car. Webb and Briggs exchanged glances in the rearview mirror. They knew. They'd grabbed someone with actual credentials instead of the easy target they'd profiled her as. Webb started the engine anyway, pulled out of the fresh Mart lot, headed toward the precinct. Dr. Davis spoke clearly for the body camera still recording. Officer Dispatch has confirmed my identity and credentials. On what basis are you continuing this detention? No answer. Malicious continuation. The kind that turns a lawsuit from possible to inevitable. No. At the precinct, they processed her like any other arrest. Still handcuffed. Still denied verification she'd already received. Fingerprints taken by Officer Phillips' name tag, barely visible indifference carved into every movement. Dr. Davis requested her attorney, requested a phone call, requested her Bar Association representative. Each request met with the same flat response, all in due time. Standard procedure weaponized. They moved her to holding cell 6B8 by 10 feet, fluorescent lights humming, metal bench bolted to the wall. The handcuffs finally came off, leaving red marks circling both wrists. The door locked with a heavy click. Through the small window, Dr. Davis could see the hallway clock. 12:47 p.m. She watched the minutes accumulate. Evidence of detention extended far beyond any reasonable time frame. No charges filed, no Miranda warnings, no attorney contact allowed. Just hours passing while her 2:00 p.m. seminar started without her. 14 law students waiting for a professor who'd been detained teaching the law she'd been arrested for knowing too well. At 1:41 p.m., Officer Phillips opened the cell door. 2 hours and 14 minutes after verified identification confirmed she was exactly who she'd said she was. "You're free to go, Miss Davis." No apology, no explanation. Just bureaucratic acknowledgement wrapped in language designed to deflect accountability. Dr. Davis stood straightened her Emory Law sweatshirt with deliberate calm. "I want copies of all body camera footage from today. I want incident report numbers. I want the names and badge numbers of every officer involved. I'm filing formal complaints and a federal lawsuit." Phillips's jaw tightened. He knew what she knew. They'd crossed constitutional lines. Multiple lines, the kind that ended careers. Dr. Davis's daughter Maya was waiting at home when her mother finally returned, 14 years old. In the law magnet program at her high school, she'd heard everything from Sarah Chen, who'd called within minutes of the arrest. Maya hugged her mother tight, then pulled back, looking directly at her. "Mom, will they do this to me?" The question landed like a verdict. Dr. Davis knelt to eye level. "Not if I build the precedent. Not if we make sure this has consequences." That night, Dr. Davis sat at her dining table and began documenting everything. 6 camera angles, fresh Mart security, 4 cameras, time-stamped high definition. Sarah Chen's phone recording, 8 minutes 34 seconds uninterrupted. Melissa Torres recording, 4 minutes 12 seconds, different angle. Manager Michael Chen's recording, 11 minutes 47 seconds, started before handcuffs ran through loading into patrol car. Webb's body camera, official police record. Briggs's body camera, corroborating angle. She transcribed the quota conversation from memory word for word, timestamped based on her mental log, 11:31 a.m. front seat of patrol car before dispatch verification. Witness statements collected within 48 hours. Robert and Linda Morrison, independent 911 call, transcript obtained. Sarah Chen, former student, shock and detailed observation. Michael Chen, 9 years of Saturday morning's character witness. Melissa Torres, fellow attorney, professional credibility. The evidence compiled like a legal brief building itself. Internal Affairs opened an investigation triggered by the 911 calls and formal complaints. They pulled Officer Marcus Webb's personnel file. What they found confirmed patterns. 9 formal complaints filed between 2018 and 2024, 7 dismissed through internal review, 2 still pending at the time of Dr. Davis's arrest. 3 written warnings from supervisors about escalation tactics and failure to follow verification protocols. They pulled his arrest records for deeper analysis. 23 arrests in high-profile areas over the past 2 years. 19 of those individuals were minorities. 17 of the charges were eventually dropped for lack of probable cause. The pattern was statistical, documented, undeniable. 3 weeks later, Dr. Davis filed her lawsuit. Dr. Rochelle Davis versus City of Atlanta, Officer Marcus Webb, Officer David Briggs, Federal Court. Charges: unlawful detention, violation of Fourth Amendment rights, malicious prosecution, infliction of emotional distress, denial of due process. The evidence list ran 47 items. The city's response came fast. Settlement offer $180,000 with confidentiality agreement. Sign here, go away quietly, let them bury this beneath sealed records. Dr. Davis's response was equally fast. No, the offer increased. $450,000. Still with the confidentiality clause. Still demanding silence. Rejected. $890,000. Rejected. $1.7 million no confidentiality requirement. Dr. Davis considered it for exactly 3 minutes before declining. This isn't about money. This is about making sure Webb can't do this to someone else's daughter. Discovery intensified. Dr. Davis's legal team filed document requests targeting Atlanta PD's internal performance metrics. What they found turned a lawsuit into an indictment of systemic corruption. Internal emails from Precinct Captain Thomas Reeves, dated 3 months before Dr. Davis's arrest. Subject line: Q3 performance targets. Body text preserved in digital records entered as Exhibit 31C. All patrol officers' Q3 targets require 15% increase in stops and verifications. Focus on high visibility zones for maximum efficiency. Performance reviews and year-end bonuses will reflect quota achievement. High visibility zones. The euphemism decoded in subsequent emails: areas with higher minority populations, denser foot traffic, easier numbers. Not law enforcement. Metrics management. Human beings reduced to quota fulfillment. Dr. Davis's arrest wasn't an anomaly. It was policy hiding behind professional language. Trial preparation consumed the following months. Prosecution witness list. Dr. Rochelle Davis, manager Michael Chen Robert, and Linda Morrison. Sarah Chen, Melissa Torres, Emory Law School. Dean Patricia Whitmore. 3 constitutional law experts. Child psychologist Dr. Karen Bloom, specializing in trauma from police encounters. Maya's therapist, forensic analyst for body camera footage. Defense witness list: Webb Briggs Precinct, Captain Reeves' use of force trainer, police procedures expert. Mock cross-examinations. Exhibit organization. Every frame of 6 camera angles synchronized to the second. Every word of the quota conversation transcribed, time-stamped, corroborated by context. Dr. Davis drew on 19 years of building cases from fragments and inconsistencies. This time, she wasn't just the attorney, she was the evidence, the precedent, the turning point. Yeah. Webb had ignored credentials a 19-year attorney presented clearly and calmly. He'd operated within a quota-driven system that valued numbers over constitutional rights. He detained her for 2 hours and 14 minutes after verification confirmed everything she'd told him in the first 30 seconds. Was 8 years in federal prison and $12. $3 million in damages fair for what he did. Was it enough to prevent the next officer from doing the same thing to someone else's daughter? Your voice matters in cases like this. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. The Fulton County Courthouse 6 months after the arrest. Federal courtroom packed gallery. Activists wearing shirts record everything. Media filling the press section. And at the defense table, Webb and Briggs in suits instead of uniforms, flanked by city attorneys whose expressions carried the weight of a case they'd catastrophically underestimated. Judge Andrea Thompson, federal bench, 14 years, took her seat at 9 a.m. The jury filed in, 8 women, 4 men. Diverse in age and background. Faces carefully neutral. The prosecution's opening exhibit was devastating. 6 camera angles synchronized to the second. The jury watched on a split-screen display that showed every perspective simultaneously. Fresh Mart camera, 1 wide shot, full parking lot context. Fresh Mart camera, 2 close angle on Dr. Davis's vehicle. Fresh Mart camera, 3 entrance view capturing bystander reactions. Fresh Mart camera, 4 overhead angle showing tactical approach. Sarah Chen's phone ground level audio clear. Webb's body camera, first person POV of every decision, all 6 played in perfect sync. 11:20:43, Dr. Davis loads groceries. 11:22:16, Webb and Briggs approach. 11:23:04, need to see identification. 11:23:47, Bar card presented, dismissed. 11/27/11. Handcuffs click. The jury heard Dr. Davis cite Terry versus Ohio while being seized without reasonable suspicion, heard her recite her credentials while Webb repeated, "Anyone can print those." Toddler heard the quota conversation in the patrol car, timestamped November 31st, 2022. That's for this month from this zone. Captain wants the numbers up before quarterly review. The audio was crystal clear, Webb's voice unmistakable. The jury leaned forward. Sarah Chen testified on day 3. 24 years old now, licensed attorney herself, Georgia Bar, 6 months. She took the stand wearing professional attire, but her voice cracked when the prosecutor asked about that Saturday morning. Dr. Davis taught my constitutional law seminar in spring 2023. She spent 4 weeks on Fourth Amendment protections, taught us Terry versus Ohio reasonable suspicion requirements, the difference between stops and arrests. And then I watched officers arrest her for knowing exactly what she taught us. She was handcuffed for being too competent, for citing the law they were violating. Sarah wiped her eyes but kept composure. I recorded because I knew Dr. Davis would need evidence, because she'd taught me that truth requires documentation. The jury watched the young attorney testify about watching her professor become the case study. Webb's defense collapsed under cross-examination. His attorney claims suspicious behavior justified the initial contact. The prosecutor pulled up fresh Mart camera footage timestamped. Officer Webb, you testified Dr. Davis exhibited suspicious behavior. What specifically did you observe at 11/22/16? Webb furtive movements near the vehicle. Prosecutor, the jury has watched the footage. Dr. Davis was loading grocery bags into her trunk. Is loading groceries furtive behavior? Silence. The prosecutor continued relentless. At 11/23/47, Dr. Davis presented her Georgia Bar Card license number 48291. Why didn't you verify it via dispatch? Webb, I assessed it visually. Prosecutor, verification takes 90 seconds. You detained Dr. Davis for 2 hours and 14 minutes. At what point did you attempt verification, Webb? After we transported her to the precinct. Prosecutor, dispatch verified her identity at 11:39:04 while you were still en route. You continued the detention. Why no answer Webb could give would help. Every claim destroyed by timestamps, every justification shredded by synchronized footage. The criminal trial came first. Federal charges under 18 U.S.C. Section 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. The jury deliberated 4 days. The verdict read by the foreperson, a retired school principal with 32 years in public service. Guilty on all counts. Deprivation of Fourth Amendment rights. Falsifying police records. Malicious detention. Sentencing, 3 weeks later, 8 years in federal prison, no parole eligibility. Judge Thompson's statement from the bench. Officer Webb, you were entrusted with constitutional authority and weaponized it against a citizen who knew her rights better than you knew your duties. This sentence reflects the severity of betraying that public trust. The civil trial followed. Same evidence, different jury, financial consequences. Compensatory damages, $1.2 million for Dr. Davis's trauma, Maya's documented PTSD, lost professional opportunities. Reputational harm. Punitive damages, $11.1 million against Webb individually and the city of Atlanta for systemic quota policies that incentivize constitutional violations. Total $12.3 million. The courtroom erupted despite Judge Thompson's gavel. Applause from the gallery. Activists chanting outside. Media rushing for statements. Webb sat motionless at the defense table, staring at nothing. The verdict rippled outward. Atlanta Police Department announced immediate reforms within 72 hours. Body cameras mandatory on during all civilian contacts, no exceptions. Quota systems banned explicitly in writing. Internal Affairs oversight expanded, external civilian review board established. Mandatory bias training 40 hours annually. Precinct Captain Thomas Reeves terminated for cause pension, suspended pending investigation. His Q3 targets email became Exhibit A in a Department of Justice pattern and practice investigation. 14 past cases involving Webb's arrest were reopened. 11 individuals whose charges had been dropped filed civil suits. The precedent Dr. Davis established cascaded through the system. Dr. Davis used the settlement to open the Davis Civil Rights Clinic at Emory Law School, pro bono representation for victims of unlawful detention. In 4 years, the clinic took 87 cases, won 71, settled 12 favorably, lost 4. She mentored 23 young attorneys, many from communities disproportionately targeted by the very violations they now fought against. Maya, now 18, submitted her college essay titled, "The Day I Learned the Law Protects Those Who Know It." She was accepted to Yale Law School early decision, plans to specialize in constitutional law. The cycle continued but transformed. Officer Marcus Webb is currently serving year 3 of his 8-year sentence at FCY Jessup Federal Prison in Georgia. Lost his pension $340,000 accumulated over 11 years. Lost law enforcement certification permanently revoked. Filed bankruptcy in year 2 after legal fees exceeded $280,000. His name became a case study in police academies across 6 states. What not to do. How constitutional violations end careers. The fresh Mart parking lot on Peachtree installed a bronze plaque near the entrance. Simple text, know your rights, record everything, demand accountability. Below it, a QR code linking to civil rights resource and Georgia Bar legal aid. Shoppers pass it daily. Most don't notice. But some stop, Rod. Remember that ordinary moments can become extraordinary reckonings. Accountability is possible when everything is recorded, when citizens know their rights, when evidence speaks louder than authority. Dr. Davis turned a parking lot humiliation into precedent that protects thousands. If you believe these stories matter, if you believe systems change when people refuse to stay silent, hit that like button and share this video. Subscribe, because tomorrow's story shows what happens when a veteran asks for a badge number and gets tased instead. The body cam footage revealed why that officer never wore a badge again. Drop a comment if you've ever been asked for ID without cause. Your story adds to the record. Your voice builds the precedent.